Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew Davis, me once again. Welcome back to another movie review, aka After I Saw. This time it is going to be on Karate Kid Legends. This is sixth Karate Kid. I don't know. It's a new Karate Kid movie where we follow a young teen named Lee who moves to New York with his mom and gains a friendship with this girl at a pizza shop and her father. And things go haywire when he gets himself in danger and then has to compete against a really strong fighter in the karate tournament that's happening later on in the film. So yeah, it's basically just like the original film, just with different characters. And when it comes to the original film, it's the only Karate Kid movie that I've seen, along with the 2010 movie. But that's just because I heard the sequels after that weren't nearly as good. And when it comes to that original film, rewatching it, it still holds up. Like, that movie just feels so iconic that it pretty much set a new bar for martial arts movies set in America. And just, being that warrior to, become like this powerful god that you would see yourself using against other people later on, and showing that how powerful you are at not just, fighting, but defense. It just had so much going for it that I just don't feel like it needed to be touched. That's why I'm not a fan of the 2010 movie. I just feel like while it tries to have that same spirit, it just did not work for me whatsoever. Also, if you're wondering, I haven't seen Cobra Kai just due to the fact that I'm more of a movie person than a TV person. It is supposed to be a very popular show. I don't entirely know what it's like. I just know that it's very popular and, part of the Karate Kid universe. Yeah, so when it comes to this movie, I feel like that's probably the main reason why it's even being made. Because of the popularity of Cobra Kai, they just feel they should revive the franchise with this movie. Now, positives first. The performances, everybody is really good in the movie. Ben Wong in particular, who plays the lead role, is excellent in the film. When it comes to his fight choreography, when he gets into fights, they are excellent. They are very well done. They are very powerful. Jackie Chan also plays a supporting role, who is also in the 2010 movie. It's nice to see him in this film, showing that, he can still do more in this franchise, even though it didn't really need to continue on. I also kind of like the relationship he had with this one girl. It was kind of nice to see, though. Again, most of this movie just kind of feels like a watered down version of that original film. Because there are elements to the movie that feel like they were kind of like there just to be there. Because one thing I will say about the movie, while it's quickly paced, that's not always a good thing. Because the movie just kind of felt a bit rushed. Because scenes happen often quickly that it's kind of hard for us to invest. As one scene happens, then it quickly cuts to the next. And there are elements of editing that just feel like they just, like, we need to get this movie out. Like, sometimes I feel like there are parts of this movie that were taken out. The reason why I say that is because the movie is an hour and a half long, which is like 30 minutes shorter than the original film. And there are elements to the movie that have bits of humor in them that I just don't feel like always work. I mean, they weren't like extremely cringe-inducing or anything like that. They were just not fully needed. I mean, it's so that the movie can have charm to it, which I can understand, but that charm doesn't really always pay off. Also, sometimes when it comes to the soundtrack, there are times where the music will suddenly slow down just for humor, like and then suddenly there's a part in the movie where it does the exact opposite and picks back up, like and it just got really old really fast. So yeah, my biggest issue with this movie is that it just really didn't feel needed, because it just feels like more of a watered down version of the original film that doesn't really have that same powerful impact that original film had. I know I'm comparing it to the original film a lot, but to me, that was a movie that really did not need to be touched. I get why it became a franchise because of how popular the first movie was, but I feel like it's one of those franchises where it's trying way too hard to top the original. I haven't seen the sequels. Yeah, I know Cobra Kai is supposed to be really good, and maybe one of these days I might want to check that out if maybe I have some spare time. But as I'm judging this movie right now, it just begs the question why it really needed to be made. Also, it does have elements of nostalgia that we would all be familiar with. Of course, Mr. Miyagi obviously doesn't make an appearance. He does get referenced a bit in the film, which was nice to see. There's also a part in the beginning of the movie where they do show a clip from one of the movies. It's not as like how they did it in Mission Impossible, where they just throw a bunch of clips in your face to, remind you of what happened. But it feels more like a modernized version than a new movie because, again, kid gets into trouble, fights in the tournament, meets up with a girl, moves into another area, and yeah, that's really what it feels like. Just trying to bait you into a new film with mostly the same plot, just with new characters, with some elements that feel very modern, makes this movie feel very modern. And to me, it just doesn't really work in that same sense that the original had. In the end, guys, Karate Kid Legends, it's not a horrible movie, but it's one of those movies that just feels like it had no purpose whatsoever. It's one of those franchise revivals to an old movie that just has you thinking, are they running out of ideas? I don't really think that because, again, Sinners was amazing, and I'm glad that that movie is successful currently. But movies like this just feel watered down and trying to capitalize on what made that original good and just trying to remind you of how good that original was while having elements of nostalgia, while also having elements that just feel like it was more watered down rather than just having a full-on justice to its source material. It doesn't help that the editing was way too quick and scenes go by way too fast, and the humor just didn't really do anything for me. Again, it has great choreography, some really solid performances, but in the end, there really wasn't a whole lot of justice to this one. It could have been far worse, but again, just watch Cobra Kai. I'm more interested in checking out Cobra Kai after this, but yeah, I honestly forgot this movie was even coming out because I knew Bring Her Back was coming out, which I'm definitely seeing. Just this one, I just know by the end of it, like maybe in a few years, I'm all like, hey, did you remember there was another Karate Kid movie? Was there? Yeah, because it's another one of those types of movies in my eyes. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and maybe subscribe for more. You can also follow me on Twitter or Instagram or maybe Blue Sky. Links are in the description. Yeah, see you guys later. Word out.